2011, if you ask me, that's the year that I really remember. And there were some great players in that group too. That I'm lucky to still call my friends and that have gone on to do amazing things.
Can we talk for a second while you bring up Vanguard 11? Just like, what was being a part of a complete staff overhaul change in a drum corps like? Did it feel different to you? Was it, because obviously you followed Paul and Sandy from Phantom to Vanguard. Like, were there a lot of, like, how many vets were still there from 10 to 11 through the staff change, out of curiosity?
I believe in the front, so I marched in the front ensemble.
Uh-huh.
Through there was a vibraphone player and a percussionist that stayed from the previous year. And then, trying to remember, obviously, I think most of the cymbal line was alumni. And then I think maybe one bass drummer. If I can, like, don't quote me on that. I'm trying to remember.
That's fine.
No, you're good.
We're stretching you back.
Like, is that, I've not really ever looked into, like, 'cause obviously staffs move around all the time throughout drum corps history and jump ship from one to another and then go back sometimes and blah, blah, blah. Is that typical, you think? Like, just almost a complete member swap over? Or was that just, like,
I think
unique?
Maybe, I don't know if it's unique or not. I can speak to my experience. I know that what that group was at Phantom Regiment, I think part of why it's so successful is because we are all on the same page about, like, what the goal is. It's a group effort, and it's fun to be with your friends and play
For
at
sure.
a high, you know what I mean? Like, and so I think it was an easy decision when it came, when Paul did decide to move teams. He didn't have to ask any of us to do that. Like, he didn't approach any of us and say, like, hey, follow me to here. We all chose to do that.
Yeah.
I think it was just because we all really believed in him and the staff and the music that we played. And, my perception was that, like, as far as, like, the percussion section goes, it felt like business as usual. It just felt like we were wearing a different uniform.
Yeah. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. I think the biggest difference was maybe, like, the core propers culture was a little bit different. Obviously the regiment has its own identity, and Vanguard has a equally unique and different identity. I think one of the biggest things I remember was just at regiment, and I'm sure it's not like this now, but at regiment we would stay up all night in camp weekends and, like, kind of hype it, learning the music and seeing how clean we could get it by Sunday. Like, that was like, yeah, we're gonna, like, be so excited. Like, we would stay up all night. It was totally in our hands. And that Sunday recording was like that was, like, always the goal. It was like, we want to walk away and be like, yeah, okay, that sounds, we're ready to go. And we got to Vanguard, there were some pretty, like clear rules about, like, 11 p.m. like, we're done. Like, nobody's, and I remember being like, well, how are we going to get the music right? Like, we have to confused by, like, what do you mean we can't keep playing? Like, I want to play. It's awesome. And I see where they're coming from, like, the whole thought. I think this is kind of indicative of, like, the whole trend that has been the last decade in DCI, where there's, like, a lot more awareness about the full health of the member and everything like that.
Definitely.
That was definitely, like, a huge shift in culture. And I don't think necessarily one is better than the other. I think there were merits to both, but it just took me a minute. Like, those were the things that I remember being like, whoa, that's different. But as far as the way we played together and we operated as a section, it's just a different uniform and a different tour. It's great to see the West Coast.
Oh, I'm sure. I
bet another big difference is that you had a much more scenic move-ins housing site going from, like, Rockford, Beloit, Wisconsin area to California.
I'll tell you, there's some pictures out there of that move-ins that year. It actually snowed, and I remember just, like, being totally unprepared, like, from a clothing standpoint, and being, like, an ensemble, just like, what are we doing? Why is it snowing in California? But it was very beautiful, like, waking up every morning to see Mount Shasta, like, having, like, a marimba sectional, looking at this, like, beautiful scenery. Like, yeah, it was a really phenomenal experience, and I'm thankful that was my last year as a member. I think that, regardless of, I don't even remember where we ended up placement wise, but, like, I like always will go back and listen to that show. So